If Master Chief, the legendary Spartan 2, versus Thanos, the mad titan with a mutation that makes him basically invulnerable, who would win? I'm actually surprised researching the results of this theoretical fight, so today we're going to talk about their advantages, their disadvantages, how the fight would actually go down, and we're also going to look at the bigger picture, the UNSC versus the Outrider army. Who would win in that situation? Well, grab a cup of coffee or tea, it's going to be a fun one, guys. Let's get into it. There is a lot of spoilers in this video for Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, so if you haven't seen those two movies, then you should get out of here and come back when you've seen them. Master Chief is a Spartan 2, taken from 6 years old to learn fighting, killing, and to be one of humanity's greatest warriors of all time. His chemical modifications called augmentations give him stronger bones, increased reflexes, superior eyesight, and psyche. The Mark 6 armor also grants Chief titanium protection, energy shields, and heat resistance. Put these things together and you have a very lethal, very powerful super soldier. Chief can run up to 60 miles per hour, lift tanks, and even dodge bullets. Master Chief also once slapped a rocket out of his face. And of course he endured orbital re-entry with nothing on his back except for of course the Mark 6 armor and a deteriorating door he held onto from about 3 miles in the air. He's 7 feet, 2 inches tall, he's 46 years old, including cryo years, and he's single. Master Chief has defeated the Covenant and the Flood, but can he take on the Mad Titan, Thanos from the MCU? How would this Spartan, and perhaps others, fare up against one of the most intimidating villains in all of cinematic history? If Marvel's cinematic universe version of Thanos, the Thanos that we see in the movies like Avengers, Endgame, and whatnot, were to arrive in the Halo universe, the universe that we've seen in the games and the books, like let's say through a multiverse portal, just how much of a threat would Thanos be to humanity? The UNSC, the Covenant, the Spartans, and maybe even the Flood? Well, in Halo, there's no Infinity Stones, thank goodness. But the next most powerful thing in this universe and Halos is the Halo Rays. And in a way, that could kind of get Thanos' whole thing done because he wants to get rid of half of life, which we'll talk about soon. But firing the Halo Rays actually makes a lot of sense for Thanos in this case, right? It would at least absolve this galaxy of its perhaps overpopulation problem. Anyways, Thanos trying to fire the Halo Rings makes the most sense here. So let's say that he's trying to do that, which easily gives every single faction and every living creature a reason to not only fear Thanos, but also want to fight him and stop him, which is quite fitting. So for now, let's say it's Master Chief's Mark 6 suit and an array of UNSC weapons versus Thanos with nothing but his dual-edged sword and his armor that we see a lot of in Endgame. Thanos is a genocidal warlord from Titan who was born with a hideous mutation that basically made him an incredibly powerful being. His whole stake is to bring stability to the universe, believing the population of the universe would eventually use up all available resources and life would collapse in on itself like his home planet did. In Avengers Infinity War, he would seek out the Infinity Stones that spawned at the universe creation, and with that power, he was able to wipe out half of life in the universe by utilizing his Infinity Gauntlet. However, even without this Infinity Gauntlet, as seen in Endgame, he is still a very incredibly powerful being, even without these stones. Of course, like I said, we're just going to be talking about him, his armor, and his dual sword. So, I mean, wow, right? I mean, he took on Thor, which was a god, and Iron Man, which is basically a Spartan. I know Tony Stark has a lot of things that the Spartan doesn't have, but just as a reference point, he took those people on, which is pretty impressive already. Looking back, though, Thanos best demonstrates his strength, and one of my favorite scenes is when he fights the Hulk, and he deals with him like a toddler. Yes, this is the proper way to deal with the toddler, by the way. Interesting fact, Thanos and Hulk are actually very similar in strength, and like Master Chief, Thanos knows fight form. So not only is he extremely strong and powerful, but he also knows his stuff. He's intelligent, he's extremely clever, he's very thoughtful, and had already taken down entire civilizations. This is best represented when Thanos basically completely ravaged Gamora's home world and killed half of them, so he could have easily taken down this entire planet, but he chose chose not to, right? Also, I'm just gonna casually mention this. He tore through Vision's skull with his fucking fingers to get the Mind Stone. So it's worth noting that Vision is made up mostly of vibranium here, which is a very powerful metal in the MCU. We'll talk about that soon. Also, Captain Marvel, which, by the way, destroyed warships and went right through Thanos' warship, taking the whole damn thing down, still needs to use both her arms to overpower Thanos, and even then she can be thrown to his side. Alright, so you get the point. Thanos is very, very strong, and he's certainly a worthy opponent to Chief. So let's compare their feats side by side. In the strength department, Master Chief is completely outclassed, I'd say, right? While it is impressive that a Spartan can lift around 5 tons on average, Thanos regularly overpowers Spartan teams that are able to carry much more than that altogether. Iron Man was able to push a ferry weighing around 2,500 tons to keep it from capsizing, and that was only one of his older models. His superior Mark L vibranium suit that we see in Infinity War was thrashed. And keep in mind that vibranium is just as strong as Master Chief's suit, if not stronger. But when it comes to reaction speed, Master Chief actually has quite an edge on Thanos. Spartan reflexes have been clocked at around 20 milliseconds and have been said to be even faster in a combat scenario when adrenaline is pumping through the Spartan systems. So their reaction time is so lightning fast that during combat, their opponent could appear to be in slow motion, something nicknamed as Spartan time. Well, while Thanos has some impressive reaction times, able to block laser fire, react to multiple fighters dogpiling him at once, nothing on the level of Spartan time has been observed, at least in MCU. Remember, Spartan 2s have been known to dodge bullets. However, this doesn't mean that Master Chief would be invulnerable or untouchable. While Master Chief would be able to avoid most of Thanos' strikes while landing his own, Thanos is a very intelligent, very clever being, and after a few blows, he'd probably get frustrated and realize exactly where Master Chief would be going before he goes there, being able to predict that fight pattern. I do believe that Master Chief could greatly piss off Thanos by jumping, hitting, rolling, stabbing, shooting, and just throwing Thanos for a loop. It would be very frustrating for him, I could see that. It may be hard to believe, but remember, the games are technically inaccurate to the lore. Spartans are much more powerful, much more faster than the games show, and the cutscenes lead on. I mean, they're meant to be crazy powerful, crazy fast. Master Chief is 7 feet and 2 inches tall, with Thanos at 8 feet and 2 inches tall, exactly 1 foot taller, according to some sources via MCU, which Thanos does have a slight advantage there. But the most damning factor for Master Chief is probably his durability. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, of course, Master Chief is very durable. He is capable of falling down about 3 miles down onto Earth and survive, well, and get up pretty much unharmed. But if Thanos gets a really good grip on him, then Master Chief could be in trouble. Like we saw with the Brute in First Strike, Thanos could grab Master Chief by the throat and choke him to death, pop his shields, and just start choking to death. Now, Master Chief could get out of that, but would Thanos give Master Chief the room, any possibility of getting out of that death grip? The best thing for Master Chief is for him to keep his distance and to lay a lot of fire on him. Although most of UNSC's weapons actually probably wouldn't do much damage, it probably wouldn't even pierce his skin. The fun thing to think about this situation is that Master Chief really could take Thanos on, and not only that, he could take the hits. If Thanos landed a couple really good blows on Master Chief, he could take the hit. Because, well, one, he's the most powerful Spartan, I believe, but also his suit is equipped with an advanced gel layer protecting him basically from most of dangerous impacts like Thanos' head-on punches. On the flip side, Thanos could easily take Master Chief's punches as well. Just look at this spaceship scene where an entire spaceship is dropped onto his head. Now, I know he had the Infinity Stones, so he is still very powerful. He can take multiple explosions happening on his body and still live. Not to mention, Thanos also survived the raw energy that the stones gave off when he wiped out half of life, and again when he destroyed the stones, which did cause great injury, but it still didn't kill him. Certainly Thanos has an advantage here in durability because, well, he survived the raw energy of these stones, and Tony Stark did not, which is a human just like Master Chief. Now, I know Master Chief has augmentations, but it's hard to say if those would really help with the raw power that these Infinity Stones would have on a human being like John. Certainly, I think Chief would survive, unlike Tony Stark, but I think he would probably be in a wheelchair, if not greatly injured or out of it for a good, I don't know, few months. So let's take a look at the weaponry between Thanos and Master Chief. Now, even though Master Chief has guns in this situation, like the assault rifle or battle rifle, and Thanos has nothing but a sword, you gotta think about this, alright? Thanos could easily impel that sword into Master Chief's suit. Master Chief has a bunch of guns that basically cannot impel any part of Thanos that we know of right now, right? So the assault rifle, probably gonna bounce off. Rocket launcher, probably gonna bounce off. All these ballistic weapons would most likely bounce off Thanos, or at worst, cause some lacerations on the softer parts of the body, but nothing that serious. The weapon that's most possible of doing any damage to Thanos would probably be the Spartan Laser. It could be argued that a weapon capable of punching through the hull of a Wraith tank should be able to also kill a guy like Thanos if aimed right at his head. But consider this, in Infinity War, Iron Man and Captain Marvel both use similar attacks, and they didn't really do much. Here he was using the Power Stone to absorb the attack, so if I had to guess, Thanos would probably get a pretty wicked scar without any defense if it was shot directly at his head, for example. Thanos actually has an advantage here because even though he only has a sword and Master Chief has all these guns, the guns are pretty much useless and that sword could impel Master Chief. In fact, it's very likely that Thanos, if he gets a good grip on Master Chief, could break his armor and break his bones as well. In an all-out fight between the two, I think that it's pretty obvious that while Chief could get some great hits on Thanos, Chief would be outmatched. Objectively, anyway. Now, that isn't to say that he couldn't take down Thanos. I'm just saying from the information that we have right here, right now. But I do declare that Chief would have a very hard time killing the Mad Titan. You know, I hate to say it as a big Halo fan, but also an MCU fan, I kind of want to see both of them being like head-to-head. But if I'm being fair to MCU, then yeah, I think Chief would lose this. In Infinity War, it took half the Avengers just to get the gauntlet off him, let alone trying to kill him. It took Iron Man, I know he's not a Spartan, everything he had just to get a scratch of blood off him, not to mention taking him down. So Chief, undoubtedly, even if he could win, would have a very, very hard time and probably would be greatly injured if he did even manage to kill him. In Halo lore, Spartans have been killed off by brunt force impacts of hunter shields and even the power of brute captains. And those are two things that are pretty much small in comparison when you think about the raw strength and power of Thanos. It's clear when you see that Thanos could shatter the vibranium shield to shreds of Captain America, and he also has the power, if he catches Chief, could probably rip his armor apart as well. If he manages to grab Chief for just a moment lets down his defenses, he could die very quickly. Although we're just talking about Chief's basic UNSC weaponry versus Thanos might, if we gave them both a small to mid-sized dagger of vibranium, then Chief could have a really good chance of taking down Thanos, I would argue. Cutting Thanos' heels, cutting his throat maybe. I don't know if Thanos would be that foolish to let him just fall down like that. I don't think that's his character to die that quickly. But I do think if Chief did have something to pierce that fucking skin with, then we are really talking about an epic even fight where either force could win here. Thanos, while being a man that is extremely dedicated to his goal, still has a couple weaknesses that Halo's characters could take advantage of, however. For one, he always gives his opponents a chance to fight back. He could have easily ended all the lives of every Avenger who stood in his path, but didn't see the point of using lethal force for whatever reason, probably because the Thanos snap would take care of it. But even after he obtained all the stones, he didn't immediately go for the snap. Instead, he still gave out one single last taunt before he did it, even though there was an axe in his chest. So if Chief did lose or need some backup, how much would he need? How much backup would he need to take down Thanos? How about Blue Team versus Thanos? Now that would be very fun to watch, because now we're really talking. Then without a vibranium or titanium dagger, just them with their assault rifles, it would probably go down something like with Atriox versus Red Team. Now I understand Red Team isn't Master Chief and that they were failed Spartans at first, but they are Spartan 2s and they are very powerful, but they still lost to Atriox. With Thanos on the other hand, Blue Team could pull together to keep him grounded, to keep him in one place, but I don't think they could really kill him outright, not without the proper weaponry. Remember how hard it was for the Avengers on Titan to just hold down Thanos for a freaking second, and the Avengers had all kinds of utilities, all kinds of interesting dynamic abilities like the portals or Iron Man's mobility with the jetpacks and Spider-Man's webs and Mantis's psych powers and so on. These things Spartans don't have. You know, they have exceptional speed, strength, and all the other things I listed earlier, but they don't have portals, right? So it makes me wonder that perhaps even Blue Team would need additional help. Maybe Fire Team Osiris could join in helping. Maybe, but I argue for more. I don't really know how accurate Fire Team Osiris is, even though demonstrated in Halo 5. I'd argue that they need at least 10 to 15 Spartan 2s to fight Thanos. That is, a Thanos without Infinity Stones, depending on the weaponry, the scenario, and how angry Thanos is and how angry the Spartans are, of course. With Thanos' incredible strength, I mean, he could easily grab a few of the Spartans, with them running around and everything, and breaking the backs of a few of them, rendering them paralyzed. Remember how Atriox, a single brute, who managed to snap the shoulder of Jerome in Halo Wars 2? So of course, Thanos could snap the back or break the back of a few Spartans. If Thanos' punch or hit or slash goes perfectly right, then a Spartan or two could be cut clean in half. Remember, his sword shattered vibranium, which means that his sword could easily dismember a Spartan or two. The best chance Blue Team would have of taking down Thanos would probably be positioning him for a clear Mach Blast. As powerful as Thanos is, dealing with a few 3,000-ton uranium slugs at 4% the speed of light would probably vaporize Thanos. At least it would render him unconscious for a few days, I think. Or somehow composing him, like with a composer scene from Halo 4, and turning him into a weak-ass Promethean we could just take down in a few seconds. So that might be an option. With Thanos set on killing all life, along with his 4 henchmen that starred in Infinity War, along with his army of Outriders, ships, and his full might, versus Halo's best, including the Covenant and the UNSC at their strongest, working alongside together, which, by the way, would look pretty fucking awesome, honestly, along with the Arbiter, Master Chief, and the Spartans, the question here would be, who would win? Which universe would win? Well, for this conversation, this is a much more in-depth thing, but I do believe ultimately Halo would win out. I mean, looking at in-game's ending, it's clear that Thanos' army was prepared to take down Earth in the 21st century. But what about the 25th century? The Outriders would of course be a huge problem for the Marines and elites. However, the brutes could be an equal match. In fact, it would be pretty awesome. Ultimately, I do think Halo would win in general, just because it's 500 years in the future and greater numbers of the Covenant and the UNSC versus Thanos forces. But it's really hard to say because Thanos is really smart and he'd probably play dirty. And if we're talking about a galactic war thing, he'd probably be really smart and he'd probably outsmart the prophets and the leaders at ONI and UNSC and stuff. So who knows? I mean, if he played his cards right, he could probably tear apart UNSC and Covenant warships like nothing with his main flagship. Of course, his main flagship could be overwhelmed by plasma and Mach Blast if surrounded, but really you can get a visual sense of this battle to be something similar like in in-game's finale battle, which would basically look like hell on Earth like it does in in-game, right? Just with more UNSC and Covenant though. So guys, who do you think would win? Thanos' army or Halo's army, the Covenant and the UNSC? Would the Mad Titan win or Spartan 117 in a 1v1? What do you think? What about Thanos' entire army versus the Flood or Foreigners, right? A lot of really cool situations to think about here. If you're an MCU fan and a Halo fan, this is just orgasmic to think about. So let me know your thoughts and feelings about everything we talked about today down in the comment section below. And like this video up if you want more videos just like this one, more versus videos. I mean, I just had a blast making this, so let me know down in the comment section below, guys. I want to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're excited for Halo Infinite, E3 is right around the corner, and I'm going to be covering Halo all year long, so be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys soon in my next one. Peace.